Hi, today I'm here with the Victorian Literature Tag. I was tagged by Yamini from The Skeptical Reader, and I have to say that I haven't read a huge amount of Victorian literature. I do like to read classics, but a lot of them are either written before the Victorian era, like books by Jane Austen, or they are written by people from different countries, like French stuff like Dumas. And Victorian literature is things written specifically during the era of Queen Victoria in the UK. So I have to apologize beforehand that I do not have a huge selection here. I will answer some of the questions with the same books. The first question is the first piece of Victorian literature you ever read, and that is Dracula. I actually know this for certain because I have this notebook from when I was about 13 and started writing down books that I had read. So I have these notebooks all the way from when I was 13. And when I was about 13-14, I had listed Dracula in there, so that is the one. And next question is your favorite Victorian novel, and this is actually one of my favorite novels in general, not just favorite Victorian novels, and it is The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. And this is of course about a young man called Dorian who wishes that his portrait would bear the signs of his aging instead of himself. And he becomes quite corrupt due to nothing marring his beautiful surface. I will also answer the third question, which is your favorite Victorian author, with Oscar Wilde. Even though I haven't read a lot of his stuff apart from this, I will just have to say that he is my favorite. I just really like this book. The fourth question is your favorite Victorian literary couple, and this was quite difficult since I haven't read a lot of romantic stuff from the Victorian era, or at least stuff that I could get behind, like the relationships in Wuthering Heights are of course not my favorite relationships. I will just go with stuff that might be a romantic relationship or might not be. My favorite literary couple would either have to be Sherlock Holmes and John Watson, or Laura and Carmilla from Carmilla by Joseph Sheridan Le Fanu. The fifth question is your favorite Victorian villain, and I will also have to go with Carmilla for this one because I really found her character so interesting and complex. She's a vampire character, if you didn't know, in a book that predates Dracula. And the sixth question is your favorite Victorian book where someone dies of consumption, and I can't pick anything for this one. I do know that a lot of Victorian characters do die of consumption, but I haven't yet read any books, I think, where that happens. The seventh question is the longest Victorian novel that you've read, and I will also go with Dracula for this one, even though I'm not quite sure if that's true, but I think it is the longest. Question number 8. A Victorian author or book that you love and feel is underrated. Now, I haven't read enough stuff to really answer this and give you a book that you perhaps don't know about, but I will give you one answer. This is not by any means an underrated book, but I think people read other novels over this one from this author. And I also can't say that I love this book, but it was my favorite from what I've read from him so far. So this is The Island of Dr. Moreau by H.G. Wells. And I think people either read The Time Machine or The War of the Worlds over reading this one. And I've read the three that I just mentioned, and out of those, this one was my favorite. Question number 8 is the most beautiful edition of a Victorian book that you own, and you have seen this quite a lot of times, but it is definitely this illustrated version of Dracula. This is illustrated by Becky Cloonan, and it's really pretty. I really do like the spine. And the final question is, finally, 3 unread Victorian books you want to try. And I definitely want to read The Tenant of Walthall Hall by Anne Bronte. I haven't read anything from Anne Bronte. I have read one each from the other Bronte sisters. And I also want to read The Memoirs of Sherlock Holmes by Arthur Conan Doyle. I am reading the Sherlock Holmes books in order, and the memoirs are next. And I also want to read something from Elizabeth Gaskell. I'm not sure which book, but I want to read one book of hers, probably North and South, if you don't have a recommendation other than that. There were also some bonus questions about your favorite books from specific authors, but I don't feel like I've read enough from any one of these authors to answer these. But if you have read more than me and want to do this tag, please feel free to answer those bonus questions as well. I'm not going to tag anyone specifically, but I will tag you if you really enjoy reading Victorian literature. Please let me know in the comments if you have done this tag, because I really want to read more, so I will be on the lookout for recommendations. So that's all from me this time. I will see you later with another video.